Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today, the topic is politics. How do we protect our school children without being divisive to liberals and conservatives around the issues of the Second Amendment? We always seem to get stuck, okay? To that end, I propose we enact a law I call the School Protection Act, or SPA. So I propose the SPA be based solely on dollars, with no talk of banning assault weapons or modifications to the existing ownership laws. The SBA will have two components. The first component is a federally funded security force. To be clear, when I say federally funded, I do not necessarily mean federally operate. This program can be run by private enterprises based on negotiated regulations similar to GOCO, government owned, company operated institutions. So the second component of this plan would be to levy a 10% tax on guns and ammo based on the pain, suffering, and cost that misuse causes to society. I call it the Second Amendment tax. For example, this type of tax is no different in spirit than the tax we put on cigarettes based on their economic impact to the healthcare system, or to gasoline based on its cost of its environmental cost. Uh, along those lines, we could justify a 10% tax on guns. This way, we don't have to start beating the hell out of NRA. They'll scream and they'll jump up and down. But if we have resolve in Congress, we can just get that law passed. In any case, none of these taxes cover the entire cost of the damage, use of these commodities causes. So, with that in mind, I'm gonna go through some of the numbers. Now, there's an old adage, right, saying that numbers are unemotional and they don't lie. But we all know from time to time, numbers can be manipulated through interpretation. So, in this case, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that would be the case. But what I'm going to try to do, so I'm going to go from top down, and we're going to look at some numbers in the United States. And I'm going to and I'm going to put this out there so uh, you guys can look. Let me just go ahead and share what I'm gonna show for right now, so you'll see what I'm talking about. This way, you don't have to follow me without knowing what I'm talking about. So, all right. So here are the numbers. You should be able to see this. Okay. So in 2023, the national budget was or is $5.8 trillion. That's a lot of money. And we know that in that $5.8 trillion, there's just a whole lot of horse shit, right? I mean, just money going everywhere. And, I don't know how thick that document is, but it's probably a crazy read. So B, the approximate number of schools in the US, K through 12, is around 140. I rounded it up. You could look in Google, might get different numbers. So 140,000, I should have said, okay? The guns and ammo business is approximately like $28 billion business, right? And what it means to the economy of jobs and all that, you'll be up to around 60 billion. But let's just look at the raw number of 28 billion for sales of guns and ammo to the American population each year, right? People always buy new guns. So I propose this, that each school from K to 12 hire two armed and trained security guards, right? With an average salary of $50,000 to $65,000. Okay, it could vary through this. I just use two numbers: low end 50 grand, high end 65 grand per year. Okay, so when you do the calculations, if you look here, 50,000 times 140,000 schools with two guards is 14 billion. 65,000 a year, 140,000 schools with two guards is 18.2 billion. All right, so that's the cost, right? High end cost, low end cost. If you impose a 10% tax on the number of sales of guns and ammo in the United States, right? So you'll have 28.8 billion dollars, 10% of that, you'll get 2.88 billion dollars that industry has to contribute, and that you'll just put that on top of the gun sales and the ammo sales. It's 10%, but Americans, if you really love your children, you would not have any trouble, because if you look at this not as an extra cost, but as a child safety investment, not a cost, but a child safety investment, you could be able to stomach that, right? You'll absorb that. All right. So now the government plus industry costs would be the contribution from the government will be 11.12 billion, the 2.88 from industry. That's your 14 billion. At the high end, 15 million, 15 billion, 15.32 billion from the government, 2.88 from industry. That's your high end, right? The percentage now, if you look at the percentage of, just the percentage of those funds every year based on the total budget, at the low end, we're talking about 0.241%. At the high end, we're talking about 0.313%. You see how cheap that is for your child's safety? Right? To invest in your kids, invest in your future. We're talking about a minimal expense. So let me, so let me just stop sharing that for a second and go back to sharing my screen to put my thing back up there. All right. So, uh, so you see where I'm going with this. So the numbers are the numbers. You got those. You can go back over them if you want to, and all that. So what's the benefits of doing this thing, right? I'm not going to ramble too long. I'm gonna just try to get to the benefits and see if they make sense to you. So I think there's four very tangible benefits for this child safety investment to enact the School Protection Act into law, right? The first one, even the most cynical social engineers would have to agree that having two skilled and trained security officers in each school would be more than just a visible deterrent to stopping a random mass killer, right? This would, this would equip, this would, equip, this would, the schools will be equipped to minimize the attack at the point of danger, right? If you could stop it altogether, great. But if you could minimize it because you have armed guards ready, trained, willing to do what they need to do to stop an active shooter from doing what they do, right? So we got to make sure that we don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough here. So in this way, we don't even have to talk about arming teachers anymore, right? We could take that off the table. We could take, banning assault rifles off the table. We could do a lot of stuff by doing this. The second thing, uh, we'll create a new industry. There'll be a new industry required to hire, train, and deploy this new security force, right? The government will be paying, and there'll be entrepreneurs coming out the wazoo to get a piece of that action. So if this was a jobs program, this is probably one of the best job programs to put people to work doing something to save our children, right? And being funded by government and taxed by industry. Right. As a minimum, we're talking about 280,000 new jobs, right? And it's going to be more than that, right? So you need new businesses, new jobs based on protecting our children. I don't see how we can really argue that, right? Okay. And the third one is that in the case of an active shooter, at least you'd have a trained security force at each school, so we don't have to spend time getting situational awareness. These two guys will have situational awareness on the spot so they can give the second responders, the information they require to help if required. If required. So it's not like, oh shit, where this guy at? What's doing here? We got two people here, you know, to give good information, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And the last benefit is restorative in nature. The population has lost complete faith in the government to solve this issue. There's no faith in the government, right, to solve this issue. If they did something like this, I know it would work because I feel it in my heart, right? It'll work, right? So you have guards there, you restore some, just a little bit more faith back in the government, because our representatives will be able to point to something tangible that they've done, as opposed to just giving, their thoughts and prayers, which are meaningless to, a victim of this kind of crime. So that's my 2 cents. I'm not going to be long-winded on this thing. I'm gonna just throw it out there because I think you got my gist of what I want to do, and I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna do a couple of things with this. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna write it up, and maybe I'll send it to a few of my congressmen. Who knows? But anyway, that's what I'm doing. We'll talk. Oh, by the way, let me also, I always forget this. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I haven't done any lives. I'll probably do those in the future. I'm just, spitballing this thing because I have stuff on my head that I don't mind putting on video for you. I think this is a good proposal, and we can, kick it around. If you have comments, please comment. Please share this with people as well. I would like you to just share, see what people say. Maybe it'll spur some kind of conversation down around. So like, share, subscribe, share this, and comment to this thing. And I really appreciate it. Hey, R Payne over and out.